point at you. We're live, all right?
Okay, I can see you, sorta.
I'm going to put my hand up. All right, showing you 5 now.
Okay. Hey, guys, and welcome to the Liars Club. I am Jessica Wellington. Austin Walker's here with me today. That's our producer. Felicia's not here. She's in Vegas winning us some money, hopefully. I don't know. But you guys know what we do here at the Liars Club. We have 2 of our comedy friends come on. They tell 2 stories. One's true, one's a lie. We try to figure it out which one is which. You guys get to play along with us. Austin's on the YouTube right now. I sounded so old.
The YouTube.
On the YouTube.
He's on the YouTube. So if you want to play along, hit him up there, and we will shout you out and all that good stuff. And we have Michael, Ginger Mike, in the booth back there.
Hi, I'm Ginger Mike.
Reluctantly.
I love it.
Austin, you want to introduce our guest for today?
Absolutely. To my right, this gentleman is a great artist and a pretty good stand-up, I've heard.
He's a great stand-up.
Sorry, Jessica told me to say pretty good. He's not only a very funny comedian, but also a talented painter. You can find his artwork on Instagram at Taylor Boss. This is Mr. Taylor Boss.
Hello.
Yay! Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
What sort of things do you paint?
Anything I want. No.
I'll paint you right now.
A lot of trees, a lot of abstract stuff like that.
What type of paints do you like to typically use?
All of that.
I like acrylic, but I'm not really that great. I just kind of scribble.
Right.
Welcome to Art Talk.
I like how he was like, I like trees, stuff.
Across from me, next to Jess, is a regular at the Improv, which we won't hold against him.
Hey, man.
The co-founder of the Unfunny Network and Unfunny Studio, and he has a city named after his last name, Culver City.
Oh, yeah.
You can occasionally catch him wearing all white. He is Mr. Nolan Culver.
Yeah.
Yay!
What's up?
Thank you for coming, Nolan.
Yeah, this is great.
How you been?
Great. Killing it.
How's the Improv?
Good.
Do they hate me over there?
Yeah, they talk. Everybody talks so much shit. It's crazy. We have like pre-shift meetings, and we talk about like how the night's gonna go, and then we have typically like 5 to 10 minutes on you,
Oh, I
where it's
knew
just
it,
like,
dude.
she's the worst. We'll not let her in here under any
Right.
circumstances. Yeah. So
fucking
I don't know
knew
what you
it.
did.
I knew it. Well, I'm going to still go. And
Yeah,
whatever.
it's good. Make them uncomfortable.
Right. Well, I wanted to try to do a little banter before we got started, but you guys are horrible.
I know.
Hey,
No, I'm the worst.
that was a
man.
solid riff.
I'm the worst. Been nervous about that banter all day.
Banter can be tough.
I hate it.
You
So
guys-
what's new with you, Jess? So what's going on in your world?
I need a dentist.
Oh, fuck that.
Me too.
Oh, man.
I need to get a tooth
Mexico.
pulled bad.
Yeah. You don't have insurance?
No.
Who does? Does anybody here have insurance?
No.
Nope.
Come on.
I mean, I have VA, but they don't cover dental. So,
My
Really?
girlfriend, I literally just got in a fight with my girlfriend about not having insurance. I was like, I don't know what you want me to do. I'm poor.
Yeah.
Pretty much
Medi-Cal.
homeless.
What about Medi-Cal, man? I got that free health care, boy.
I'm Floridian. I
How do you have
don't
to-
even live here.
How do you do that?
I just applied for Medi-Cal online when I moved here.
No. It's not that
Word.
easy, is it?
Dude, straight up.
It's just a box you got to check when you come to California?
Nah, there's some
Did I
hoops
miss
to
that?
jump through, but it's doable.
Okay.
Yeah, and they got dental, Jess.
oh, they do? For how
Yeah.
much, though?
Dude, it's free health care through the state.
Really? It's all
Yeah.
free.
Yeah,
No
this-
copay?
This Obama's doing, I think.
Are you not in SAG?
No.
Even after getting in line in Clint Eastwood's movie?
I'm eligible.
Oh, man.
You got
'Cause
to
that
pay.
Would be, yeah, I guess.
Yeah, you got to pay.
You gotta
then
pay a
get the
lot.
insurance.
You got to pay a lot.
It's
Oh,
stupid.
it
They're like,
sucks.
you can be in SAG now. You're like, oh, cool. It's like $3,000. Oh, well, not going to happen.
Right.
I'm gonna,
Like, thank you, but no thanks.
yeah.
Mm.
Is that
could
the movie
spend-
that you blinked in? The
Yeah,
Queen?
yeah.
Yes.
That wink, that was all me, too.
You
that
thought
was
of that?
not in the script.
Wow.
I was going to say, did that on my own.
Nice work.
Thank you. I'm proud of it.
What's going on with your teeth?
I have this in the back, a tooth cracked, and then there was a
shit.
filling in it. So now crap just, it's just decaying, or I guess.
To hurt?
Yeah. Yep. All right. Well, that was good banter. Let's move along. Who wants to go first on the
Taylor.
stories?
I'll go first.
Okay. So you guys, you got my rules, right? You actually read them,
Yeah.
so you're ready.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Good to go.
Taylor, you go first, sir.
Thank you. This takes place when I was younger. I was about 13 years old, and I used to.
Lie. You were never 13.
Yeah, I think I was born with a beard. But
First tip off.
yeah, I was 13 years old, and I used to masturbate to my brother's Jenny McCarthy poster that he kept in his room.
It seems plausible.
Yeah, used to masturbate to my brother's Jenny McCarthy poster when he was at baseball practice. I wouldn't masturbate in his room. I would take the poster off the wall and I would bring it into my room, lay it down on the floor.
Did you never rip the poster on accident or
no.
bend the corners?
And only when he was at baseball practice.
100%. My brother was very particular, so he would have seen that. So I had to be careful.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'd put the poster next to the bed, stand on the bed, masturbate. I'm sorry, that's what I would do.
You'd
You
stand?
on
Yeah, I would. I'd stand on the bed,
like,
masturbate.
hear ye.
Yeah. Feel that power.
You go full naked or just pants down?
Just pants down,
Yeah.
shoes on too.
Yeah.
And then
Shoes on. Yeah,
And
some
then
psychopaths get naked.
yeah, totally. And then I would put the post back obviously before he got home. And then but this one time my brother was going to baseball practice and he was slipping into his daily routine, and then I started to slip into mine. So I went out. I got the poster, brought it in my room, started to masturbate, but this time I didn't see my mom come in the room.
Do you look like you're channeling something?
No,
right
no,
now, dude?
yeah, no, I'm there, man.
Yeah.
I'm there.
Is he okay?
Dude.
No, I'm thinking,
This is a dark lie.
I live like this, bro. She comes in the room and she's got my laundry and she's like, oh, I got you some shirts and some socks and oh my God. So she runs out of the room. She caught me masturbating. She runs out of the room. I pull my pants up. My shoes are already on. I run out the back door. I go into the woods for a little bit.
Because of course you do. You just
Yeah, why not?
go in the
No,
woods.
it's
You
all
got to get
friends.
out of there.
Yeah. We didn't talk much about sex in our family. Shit was weird. And so I went in the woods for a little bit, and I knew I couldn't last out there too much. And then so I went down the street to my best friend Matt's house, and I told him the story. He laughed at it, and he said I could spend the night. So I spent the night. I didn't want to go back home yet. So I spent the night. I was there for about 24 hours, and then I started to want to go back home, and I got hungry because Matt's mom was not a very good cook. So I went back home. I scoped out my house just to make sure that my mom wasn't there. The car wasn't in the driveway. So I go in, but the TV's on. I'm like, oh, no. But it was just my dad watching the baseball game, okay? And I wanted to go upstairs, but I wanted to see if they had been talking about it. So I went.
Just go ahead and throw a hint like, hey,
no.
guys.
So this is what I did. He was sitting on his chair, and I sit down on the couch, and I was like, "Hey, Dad, who's
winning?
who's winning the game?" My dad's the best. My dad's the best. He turns the TV off, and he just slowly turns to me in his chair, and he goes, "Who cares? You got caught jerking off."
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, dude.
And what was your response to that?
I mean, he was the funny one between my parents. I was more worried about my mom. I just kind of. I said, yeah. And then we didn't ever talk about it really much ever again.
What game was on?
Chicago White Sox, always.
Oh, Sox, baby.
Yeah.
All right, that's a good story.
Yeah.
Your dad's funny.
Dad's hilarious.
Yeah, that was a good move.
Yeah. It was the best.
Aggressive.
Yeah, I know. But he made light of it, and made me feel good about it. Kinda.
Right, but some kids that would have been horrific for him
Oh, no.
if you picked on him.
No.
Did you
I
ever
bet
have
Nolan was that type,
What? I'd have been traumatized?
Yeah.
I was a weak child. Yeah. I would have been hurt. I would have been hurt by that.
I was weak emotionally. Yeah.
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 All right, that was a great first story. Anybody, anything going online yet?
Lindsay said this is slow and fishy. And
That's how he likes to masturbate.
that's right. And Hostetter asked if he ever caught her rubbing one out.
His mom?
I guess. I don't
Hostetter?
know.
Do moms masturbate?
That's where it felt like it was going.
That's I
You're
think
like,
that's maybe what he was.
I come
saying.
home and the TV's on,
Yeah.
but it doesn't seem like anyone's there. You know what I mean? It seemed like
Yeah.
he was going to walk in on something wild.
Yeah.
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 I like that you keep your shoes on your brother's bed while you stand on it.
It's
and
on my
masturbate.
bed, man.
It's
my
on your bed.
Yeah, it's on my bed.
Well,
Still
see-
wild
Yeah.
to keep the shoes on.
I know.
What's also got me going, what did he use to tack or tape up his
The sticky
posters?
tack, like the museum putty.
The putty?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. The perfect thing
Yeah.
to be able to peel off and on from.
Come
Yeah.
on.
Important to
and
the
he
story.
never suspected you.
No, he was crazy particular. That's why I kept it off to the side too, because I didn't want to come on the poster.
Yeah.
Right. But
He
how
didn't
did-
notice it was like you always put it back in the perfect
Always.
lined up. Dude, so intense. I love
I
it.
know.
Fucking every time.
Every time.
Wait, did you ever have to confront with your mom? Because you got your dad,
No,
the encounter
never
with your
talked
dad. Oh, nice. Just
No.
kept it off the table.
No.
Yeah.
Did you learn to maybe not stand on a stage while you masturbated?
Not only that, I also learned to make sure the door was locked as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't it funny the things you don't know?
Uh-huh.
You'd think that'd be the first thing you think of, but not when you're
Right.
a kid.
Well, you can
You
tell
gotta learn
that
the hard
that's
way.
still a kid move. You're jumping on the bed
Yeah.
and masturbating.
Yeah. Yeah.
Looking in the mirror.
Right. All right, that was good.
Ken
Let's-
wants to know. Oh no,
No.
I guess you just answered that your mom never did say anything to you ever in your whole
Never.
life about.
Never.
Yeah.
Never.
Okay. Well, Mom,
Sorry,
now
Ken.
you know.
How old are you?
I'm saying about 13.
Okay. Yeah. Good masturbating time.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Good Jenny McCarthy time too.
Right. Yeah.
She was my favorite.
Yeah. McCarthy
know
was
that.
everything.
Yeah, yeah. Everybody knows that now.
Yeah.
Just my brother was the only one with a poster.
Yeah. I was more of a Chris Hardwick kind of guy but
I can see that.
McCarthy could do.
Chris Hardwick.
He was on Singled Out.
At the same time.
All right, Nolan, how about you tell us your first story?
All right. My dad is a manic depressive and a con man. These are two
Your
things.
dad?
My dad.
Are we allowed to say what happened with your
My they wouldn't be father-in-law.
father-in-law?
Let's keep it under wraps.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, I would, me.
Right.
I would, but the internet, man.
Yeah, stuff's still pending.
Very much. A lot of pending. Yeah, my dad is a con man and a manic depressive. So when he was manic, thank you. I need this. This is a hard story for me. When he was manic, he would come up with some crazy shit. So he showed up after being gone for a little while with some new friends that he met at the X Games. They were lugers. You guys remember luge from the 90s? He had some friends that he made at the X Games, lugers. They come home, and the plan
Losers
was...
from like the Jamaican bobsled team?
That's like downhill ice, and this is basically like that. Yeah, luge guys would lay down on the skateboard.
Oh, like a mechanics board.
Kind of.
Yeah, but
Keep
it was like a longboard. Yeah.
Yeah, same type thing.
It's a thing with wheels, if that's what you mean. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, all right.
I bet you could use it to get under a car.
The skateboard itself?
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. Okay. Well,
Right, move on.
I don't know. I don't know where I'm at now. Yeah, and then so the idea was we were gonna go to Moses Lake. Michael, you remember this? There was a big thing at the dunes. It would end every year at the dunes in Moses Lake, which is like Eastern Washington. There'd be this huge party. There'd be a bunch of people riding motorcycles and just this complete blowout. People from all over the state would come out. Real rager. Memorial Day every year.
Moses Lake. I
Moses
hate that
Lake.
name for a lake.
Yeah. Yeah,
Ugh.
I don't know. I didn't name it.
What's a
But-
good name? What do you like for a lake, Jess?
You know, you got like
I grew up on Lake Agnes.
that's horrible too. That's like,
We also have
That's like-
Lake Ariana,
that's
Little
like
Lake
naming a
Tennessee,
lake after my grandma. Lake Bernice over
Yeah.
here.
I kind of like that.
Lake Mirror. We have.
Lake Mirror, that's cool.
Yeah.
See, that's cool, and then that makes it's like fun and like you're in a storybook.
Right. Yeah. We have a Lacamas Lake. That's a nice one.
I like that name.
Lacamas.
But Moses and
Yeah.
Agnes.
Yeah. You
Well, it
know
kind
what?
of makes sense because
Agnes?
of the Red Sea. I just thought of that.
Uh huh.
yeah, I figured
Maybe it
that's
was a
why
Christian
they did
town.
it. But
You know what? No, a new story. This lake sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ditch the lake.
Yeah.
The
Ken-
whole story is true.
Ken
except I
Lofgren's asking, what were the dunes in Moses Lake called?
I don't know. The dunes.
The dunes.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's what
Mm.
they might have been called something else, but we just called them the dunes. Okay, so the idea is him and his new friends and his X Game crew, they're going to go out to Moses Lake and go party, but they need dirt bikes. My dad, he goes and we're going to go. So we go to this Yamaha store. He buys me and my little brothers all four-wheel quads, head to toe, all the
in
gear.
one day, you had that kind of money?
No. So he got all this stuff like quads, a motorcycle, head to toe gear, boots, helmet, and he forged some documents because he's a con man. He got like a fake letter from a lawyer or some shit. I can't remember exactly how, but we drive off with about $50,000.
Thou owes me
Yeah.
quads.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Old English. That's what sealed the deal. They got it after that. They're like, all
All
right.
right. Well, I'm just thinking of like what kind of document you could forge to get all that equipment at a Yamaha place.
It was like a credit application. It was like you can buy it all on credit, but you have to prove something. And then he emailed some guy that gave him some phony thing, or not emailed, faxed, because it's pre-email. So off we go. We have like $50,000 worth of shit. And he has a Hummer also because he's manic, so he has stuff like that. So he has an old, like an actual military style Hummer, and it says Hum Daddy all over the Hummer. That's his name. That's his manic name. That's like his big brand.
Good God.
Yeah. So we go to the Dunes, and the Dunes has this area where it's called the Pit. There's hundreds of people partying in the Pit on Memorial Day weekend. It's a big debaucherous thing. He rolls down in his Hummer, and like night one, he's like driving all over the place and driving on top of other cars, just being a real fucking just swinging out there, and he becomes super popular. Everybody's like, "Oh, the cool guy
when
with the
you
Hummer."
say swinging, you're applying his penis.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Big dickin'. So he's cool, and then the next day, everybody's still partying at the Pit, still crazy, and he goes out there. And at the time, there was this guy named Tom Likas who's on the radio in Seattle. And this guy was known as a misogynist.
Lycus Lake, way better name.
Lycus Lake?
Mm.
That's true.
Yeah.
Do you want to just riff names for a little while?
No, continue.
And there was this guy, Tom Likas, and he had this thing. He was a real misogynist. He would do conventions where people would come out, and women, he would sign their boobs. They'd come out in droves.
They used to do that all the time.
Yeah, it was a big thing. And so my dad goes up with this huge sign with all his X Games buddies on top of this sort of hill by the Pit where there's hundreds of people. And he's got a big sign. He's popular now. His big sign says, "Show us your tits." And then 50 plus, maybe 60 women line up and come up, and my dad starts signing their boobs. And me and my little brothers are like prepubescent, like 13, just transitioning into caring. And we didn't know what to do, but it was kind of wild. So the weekend goes by. The next year, they shut down Moses Lake as a thing, like the Dunes. They shut down the whole Memorial Day thing because apparently it got so crazy that weekend that the state was like, we can't do this anymore. And the legend had it was that my dad was a big part of that. Cut to about 8 years later, I'm in college. I meet a kid in a college class, and he was from that area, from Moses Lake. And I'm meeting him, and we're talking, and somehow the Dunes comes up. I'm like, I tell him that story. And he's like, "Is your dad Hum Daddy?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh, dude, your dad... This is a fucking legend. He's shut down Moses Lake for like 5 years. He's shut it down for 5 or 6 years until they started it back up."
This sounds like a movie too, like Meatballs.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this okay. You're saying it's true.
Yeah, Lindsay says the story's also slow and fishy. Okay, he didn't say that. He just said he didn't, she just didn't trust the story. So
Yeah. It's
Doesn't
good.
trust it.
yeah,
I know because Nolan comes across as a real guy that's got a stick up his butt,
Yeah, and Ken's
But
had
he's not. He's a really cool guy. And he's actually pretty loose.
Thanks, Jess.
Yeah, Nolan doesn't have a thing where he comes off like he's from humble beginnings, and he is. Yeah. Also, I was going to ask in the beginning, what a wild way to start. My dad and his friends he made at the X Games.
Yeah.
And I was like, what kind of fucking guy? But then right when you said he had a Hummer that said Hum Daddy all over it, I was like, I don't need to ask about why he went to the X Games anymore.
Yeah.
That seems like the kind of dude that just digs X,
Yeah, man. Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
He's all about that scene, dude.
Dude, for sure.
Anything where it's extreme, he goes.
Kenny L has some skeptical comments that he's asked me to hold on to until we go to vote.
Okay.
So I will hold on to that, but he does want to know what year this was around that it got shut down.
I was 13, so
Also
2000,
13,
99, 2000. Yeah.
Also what?
He was also 13,
Yeah.
same as him. Interesting.
Yep.
A little copycat
Curious.
action
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah, pick the low-hanging fruit.
Taylor, I told you to do a fucking different age, dude. Jesus. We talked about this.
Okay, well, it's a fun story. Did your dad ever go to jail?
Well, yeah. Yeah, but not
How
for that.
long?
Not for that. Just he was in prison for a little while for burning down houses. I think you know
But
this.
that was a con, right?
No, that was just a guy that wanted to burn down a couple houses and he did cons. He did a bunch of other random cons, but that was the more interesting one, I thought.
Huh.
Yeah. I don't know how, for the sake of it being true or false, I don't know how much more detail. You know what I mean? Should I
Right.
let the story be the story, or should I keep elaborating?
Well, if we ask you a question,
Okay.
you should answer.
Because I could talk
somehow.
about it. I'm just saying, trying to let it be like,
You let it simmer.
yeah, dude.
Let
See
it
what people
sit.
think. You can ask. Feel free. Obviously, it's your podcast. Do what you want.
How long did he go to jail? Prison?
For the arsons, he was in for 4 years.
Did he go any other time to prison for anything else?
Nah, he went to jail a few other times, but never prison. For that, other than that.
So he was pretty lucky.
Oh well, I don't think he did anything technically illegal on that trip on the Moses Lake one.
Falsifying credit, obviously that wasn't his
Oh,
credit.
right. Yeah. No, that's
I love
very
he's
illegal.
Went to go give the legal term. The
Yeah.
falsifying, that shit ain't legal either.
That sounds. No, yeah. No, they took all the shit away. They just took it.
Right,
Eventually.
you're lucky then they didn't press charges and they just took the stuff.
Yeah. I don't know exactly why that. I gotta ask him about that.
Yeah,
that
I feel
does seem like
I feel
something that could be-
Yamaha would press charges.
For sure. Yeah.
Or whatever the banking institute. Maybe Yamaha didn't give a shit
Yeah.
because it was the credit company or whatever that.
Well, it was
gave
also
them
a
credit.
private dealership of Yamaha shit. It wasn't like a Yamaha, like the company. I don't think would sue him. I think it would be that place that he took all that shit from. But I don't know. All I know is at one point none of that stuff was there anymore.
Alls I know.
All's eyes knows, dude.
Alls I know.
Yeah, I was just a
Okay.
kid. They didn't tell us all the details. You know what I
Do
mean?
you have any questions for him,
No.
Taylor?
No, I want to see the second story first.
Okay. All right. Well, you go ahead with your second one then.
Okay, I was in my mid-20s.
Damn it.
I had this. You fucked, bro. I had this thing where sometimes I would not be able to get any sleep and not be able to get any sleep or eating anything, and it would go on for a couple days. And this one time, it was the worst. It went on for 3 days, and I had not been to bed yet, and I'd been drinking the whole time. And my buddy called me up and asked me to go to a party with old college buddies. And so we went there.
You're usually so cool, but you seem like you're having such a hard time with this.
Well, I don't tell stories, man. I hate them.
Not a storyteller.
I hate
Yeah.
stories.
Should've
I'm
had
a
him
one-liner.
paint the story.
I'm a one-liner.
I go one at a time.
Yeah.
And this is the whole thing.
Yeah. And I have to close my eyes to concentrate.
Wow. Is that what? Okay,
I'm
that makes sense.
fucking autistic.
I know what you mean.
Fuck.
It is hard to focus.
Yeah.
You sit
Yeah.
over here.
Well, I'm in the story, bro.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So we go to the party, and I'm freaking everybody out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Freaking everybody out.
Yeah.
Because I'm full on hallucinating. I'm full on hallucinating and
Because you
freaking
can't.
everybody
Because
out.
you weren't sleeping. Is that why?
At all. Yeah.
Yeah.
And during this time, my buddy is contacting my brother and my father and telling them exactly what's going on. And I didn't know that. I didn't get any more sleep that day. So they drive me back to my house the next day. And in my driveway is my brother and my father waiting for me to take me to the hospital. So we go to the hospital. On the way to the hospital, I start having a panic attack, much like right now. I start having a panic attack, and then I start thinking I'm having a heart attack. I jump out of the moving car right when we pull into the parking lot, and I run towards the emergency room, and I see this guy. He's a EMT guy, and he's standing outside, and he looks like he's had a day of days. I was like, where do you go if you're having a heart attack? And he real quietly and casually just goes, over there, man. So I run in there, I cut the line, and I'm yelling out, I'm having a heart attack. So they start taking my vitals, and that's when my dad caught up with me. And he sits down next to me on the chair, and the doctor asked me, what drugs have you done? And she was saying, meaning, what drugs have you done today? And I thought she was
Like
saying,
in
what
general.
Like ever.
drugs have you ever done? So I list every drug that I've ever done. And my dad's sitting next to me. It looks like he's getting shot by a machine gun. And then the blood work comes back. They realize that, I'm not on all those drugs. I'm just on, some marijuana and probably about 200 beers. So then the psychiatrist comes in and asks me the whole thing that psychiatrists do. Do you ever think about hurting yourself or hurting others?
What was your answer? Can I ask?
Yeah, of course. And I said,
you
no.
think about it.
Yeah, no, I'm the happiest person I know of. I think about death a lot. Wrong answer. So she writes down, thinks about killing himself. So then they strap me down, and I'm in 72-hour lockdown now. So then I'm strapped down. They take me to the loony bin here in town, And when you pull into the loony bin, you go in through 2 huge metal doors. So like the ambulance will pull in, and the metal door falls behind you, and then the other one opens. So when you're taking the crazy person out, the crazy person doesn't run away.
Yeah.
So I get in there, and I guess the hospital didn't tell this other hospital, how much alcohol was still in my system. They started pumping me full of drugs, and then I meet my roommate Peter, Crazy Pete.
Crazy Pete.
Yeah. I meet my roommate, and we start doing
That's what Nolan reminds me of. You remember that show, Pete and Pete?
Yeah.
I know.
Dude.
That's why I like you, man.
Yeah,
nice to meet you finally.
Hey, man, it's good to be back. It's been a long hiatus. How are those guys? All right. Anyway.
No, you're fine.
Yeah.
But the first activity was at the Looney Bin was Pictionary, and Looney Bin Pictionary doesn't have any rules. They're just happy you're participating.
Right, you're really good at this, probably.
Hey,
right?
here it comes. Yeah. So Peter, my partner, what I didn't know about Peter was he's been in the Looney Bin memorizing all the Pictionary cards for the past year.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Crazy Pete.
Yeah, Crazy Pete. And what Crazy Pete didn't know about me is I can draw like a motherfucker.
This is
Yeah,
awesome.
so then for the next hour, we put on this show that nobody in that room will ever forget. So the next activity or whatever is free time. So we go down, everybody's just going downstairs to watch TV. And then I took it upon myself to take remote control as a microphone and perform 15 minutes of live stand-up comedy in front of everybody at the Looney Bin.
Why not take advantage of it?
I know.
right?
It was a decent crowd. No, it was a terrible crowd. They hated me.
Was that your first set?
No.
Oh,
no,
you already
no, no.
You're like, this seems like the right time
Yeah,
to
exactly.
start.
So then they asked me to leave. And as I was walking back up to my room with my handler, something in the back of my head just told me to start running. So I take off. And I take off not out the front door, the easy way. I take off back around to the back door where I came in. And, I'm stiff-arming Filipino nurses out of the way the whole way there. And I come to the doors. I lower my shoulder. I take that first metal door out, take it down. Lower my shoulder, take the second metal door out. So now I'm out. Now I'm out in the parking lot in a medical whatever fucking gown. Yeah.
Did you have underwear on?
No.
Was your butt out?
Is your butt,
Yes,
yeah.
of course.
Yeah.
But also,
Where's your butt? I like that. Where's your butt at?
Yeah, you saw it. But also, I didn't know that somebody had stuck me with booty juice, like the tranquilizer or whatever that they had.
Oh, while you were running?
While I was running. So I'm out, and there's 20 nurses chasing me out in this parking lot around a circle, and I'm trying to figure out a way to get out of the fence. So I try to jump off this electrical box to jump over the fence, but I forgot that I didn't know that a syringe was in my ass. So then I just ran right into the fence. They piled on me. Hog-tied me, took me back to a new room. This time, this room doesn't have any windows.
Yeah.
And then I got held down.
Really screwed yourself, buddy.
I know. And then I got held down. Then I actually jerked off then, too. Masturbated, and I finally went to bed. And then I woke up, and everything was fine. And then Crazy Pete, I saw him at breakfast, and he's like, "Man, yesterday, man, you were pretty crazy." And then he gave me his sunglasses.
Nice.
Crazy Pete knows a thing or two about crazy.
Right.
That was kind of like passing the torch.
Totally.
Like,
I was like,
Lindsay-
you're as
who
crazy as
smuggles
me, dog.
sunglasses inside?
Yeah.
Lindsay said, "So far sounds legit, talking confidently and quickly, and I just finished season 2 of Mindhunter, so I'm now a profiler."
Nice.
So Lindsay's like pretty much a professional.
she gets it.
Right.
Shit.
But do you think that the syringe stuck in the butt seems
Theatrical.
cartoonish?
Yeah.
Well, no, okay. we all let one huge detail just kind of float by. The Looney Bin in town. You don't know what
yeah.
mental hospital you were taken to if you were.
I think it was Kaiser Permanente, and it was right by the Dodger Stadium.
I'm not so sure about this. I'm not a professional on Looney Bins, but
Granted, I didn't see anything as I was entering or leaving this place because I got there in an ambulance.
How long were you there?
2 weeks.
Oh, you were going to be on 72 hours, and you ended up 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Because you tried to bail.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Within the first 4 hours.
That's crazy.
Why did you do that when you had such a fun time playing Pictionary?
Oh yeah, and And also karaoke too. I sang all of Let It Be.
Shoes on when you masturbated?
Absolutely. Actually, there were booties.
Oh.
Oh yeah, because you'd have the laces.
No.
Yeah.
And after you said booty juice, that's now your second
And-
use of the word booty in this
Yeah.
story. I like it. I
And my
really-
hands were strapped down, so I had to masturbate with the tips of my fingers.
Nice.
Wow.
Like a puppet.
You really had to improvise.
Uh-huh. Got it done.
Promo Motion said sounds like a fever dream.
Yeah.
I had a
and
dream
then-
about Donnell Rawlings last night, and he was a kid, and I was looking after him,
Oh,
and I
cool.
couldn't get him to behave.
Yeah.
Did he look like his head on a kid's body,
Yeah.
or was it like Kid him?
No, I don't. He just looked like a kid, but I knew it was Donnell Rawlings.
Yeah.
Mm.
I was like, Donnell.
That sounds fun. I remember I had a dream that I was running a joke that I do that it's the subject of MMA, and I was running the joke by Joe Rogan, and he was like, "It's a good joke." And I woke up being like, "Yeah, that's a good joke."
That's a good
Yeah.
joke.
He's like, "It's a good joke, dude." Yeah.
Joe Rogan
that's cool.
came to me in my dreams.
Yeah.
Oh, to you?
And
Or?
affirmed the joke.
Came to him.
Yeah,
Oh.
me.
That's confirmation.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Taylor?
No, I talk to Dave Chappelle in my dreams sometimes.
Yeah.
It's the weirdest fucking thing ever.
It's good to have.
I had
yeah.
a conversation with
boys.
Philip Seymour Hoffman in my dream one time.
Weird.
Yeah.
It's the only way we're gonna get advice from these
Sure I
guys.
did.
They're super nice.
Yeah, they're soup. They're so cool.
I'm so cool to myself.
Ken Lofgren, who is quite the investigator.
He
He's
is.
always one to chime in. He has a pretty interesting theory on this, that maybe he did hallucinate and that this was all the hallucination, but that
And
it didn't
actually
happen.
Right.
So
He
it'd be a
did
good
text
lie.
me today too and said one of my stories is long. Is that okay? I was like,
And look how much longer. I mean, it's significantly. Like it's 3
Uh-huh.
sentences. That's like.
That's a
Mm.
good idea. Well, hold on. Was Ken right last time? He was on a streak.
He was on a streak, but I think he ruined it last week with Mary Lynn. Mary Lynn ruined his streak, I think.
I don't know if I can trust him tonight.
So Ken thinks this is the lie. He's all in.
Ken thinks that's a lie.
He thinks that's a lie.
Okay. All right.
'Cause
But he-
that's probably the hallucination, and he's just telling us the story of the hallucination.
Would that
That
make it a
didn't
lie?
actually
Yeah,
happen.
yeah. Okay, fair enough.
Ken's got a lot of good theories. He's one of our good ones, but I don't know if I think he hallucinated that whole thing up.
Yeah, I think
I
Are
mean,
we-
you never know.
Are we saying
it's
what we
true.
think
I
yet?
never do. You're right about
Have
that.
you? We just had everybody talked about who they talked to in their dreams.
Yeah.
Do you have somebody you talk to in your dreams?
Yeah, I hang out with Kanye a little bit.
Sick.
for real?
yeah. Yeah, and he likes every idea I've got for him.
Yeah, dude. Dude, that's what it is.
Yeah.
You want to run ideas by them, and they're like, "Yeah, that's dope."
I feel
And
like
you wanna
even
be
if you
right.
met
Yeah.
him
Yeah.
in person, though, it would be the same way.
Yeah, I feel like Kanye and I could really kick it.
Right.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Philip Seymour Hoffman gave me really scary advice.
What'd
in
he
the dream.
say?
It was like just a few days after he died. And he's always been like my favorite. This is my dream. And he's like smoking a cigarette. He's wearing all black, you know. And I vividly remember him saying, "Don't get caught up in the plague of a city that is Hollywood." And I know every one of the movies he's been in backward in the 40s never said that in
That
a
is
movie.
fucking hilarious.
Is that weird
That's
or what?
awesome.
It's like freaky.
Don't get caught up.
Plague
Yeah.
of a city.
Plague of a city.
Yeah. Well, that's a good call. That's
Yeah.
good advice. It's great
And he was a
advice.
New York guy, so it makes sense.
Right.
Well, it's
Yeah,
funny
yeah.
that we're attributing the quote to Austin or to the other guy, but it's really you came
Yeah,
up with
that's
that.
a genius idea, dude.
I know, I was
Thank
like-
you. Thank you.
I was like, that sounds like you, man.
Yeah.
Right.
We just put that out as Philip Seymour Hoffman. He's like,
Right.
I thought of that.
Yeah, like, hey, you want to hear a weird thing Philip Seymour Hoffman said? It's like, nah, you're a weird guy.
Yeah. I like it. That's a great. Yeah, be careful. The plague of the city, man.
Gotta watch
Right.
out.
And I could
Love it.
see, I could almost see Taylor in his own little world, like Bob Ross in it, you know, painting and coming up with his story, like listening to music.
Yeah.
And he could be painting, like, oh, okay, there's a little tree over here. Oh, that's me in the loony bin.
Right. There I am, right behind that tree. Ass out, needle in my butt.
Hogtied.
Yeah.
It's a good accent you're doing because I was about to mention Hostetter is from Virginia who watches, and he says in the South it's always a treat to be sent to the local loony bin. His is called Western State, and he said it's always a good time, and Ken agrees. He said same here. They always have a good time there.
Yeah.
I had a pretty good time. I mean,
Well, that's just like criminals or homeless people when they like to go to jail because they get a, you know.
Yeah. Little vacation.
Yeah, get a meal. They get heating.
I was gonna ask that. Did
What?
you enjoy your? Was it like this is a
I
nice
did,
little
but
vacation?
I did, but when my brain. There was something with those drugs. It was such fight or flight.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Panic?
Like, I mean, that's not. Do you know me bowling over little Filipino nurses for fun? You know,
Right.
Like, I've never done any.
Are
shit like
you
that.
on drugs now?
No. Why?
I mean, not right now, but like, do you do drugs?
Marijuana.
I mean, you gotta.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I've stopped with the speed.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, speed will do that to you.
Is there
I
any
hate
difference
that
between
shit.
speed and meth?
I mean, I just
Um,
consider coke and meth.
All
speed.
one
Yeah,
speed? Okay. Yeah.
But any difference between coke and meth? You said?
No, between speed and meth. I always thought they
Nice.
were synonyms.
Well, I think they're pretty much the same thing. I think speed, maybe if you just take it in a pill form, right?
Mm,
Yeah.
I don't know. I smoked meth. You can smoke meth.
Me
you
too.
can snort meth.
right.
You can even inject it, can't you?
Mhm.
Yeah, you can inject it.
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
never did that.
Yeah.
I didn't
Well,
do
let's
that.
try it.
Michael, bring
I
it
mean-
in.
It took a weird turn.
Michael, bring it on out.
Is Adderall speed? I think Adderall is
Yeah.
speed, isn't it?
100%.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
That is
yeah.
like the
If-
purest form of meth ever.
yeah.
Yeah, I love that shit.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, I'm a speed guy then.
You and Kanye.
Turns out I'm a speed
I
guy.
used to be.
Oh, I have a correction from Hostetter. It was a threat, not a treat, to be at the local loony bin. Which I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah. Big difference.
I'm from Florida. There, it's a treat. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Well, the karaoke and the fucking it did kind of sound like a treat.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, Pictionary.
Let's
Right.
go.
Okay, so we got your two stories,
Mhm.
and you. How many did you do, Nolan?
7, 8? I don't know.
How many did
Just
you
the one.
do?
He's on
You did
one.
the
He's
Yeah.
on.
right?
He's just the one.
Oh, do your second one.
All right.
Jeez,
I was in a play in elementary school, Willy Wonka,
I can see it.
and I was an Oompa.
Yep.
I wasn't. It was a shit role. There's a bunch
Yeah.
of us. We were all disrespected, and I remember. I remember the. It was exciting. The guy that was like the Willy Wonka guy. He was a teacher named Mr. Hobart, and everybody loved this guy. He was just the coolest teacher.
Well, that's the only teacher you could have doing that part.
Mhm.
They'd have to be the coolest teacher. Could
Right.
you imagine having the teacher you hate the most
Right,
doing
right.
it? Everybody be like, "Fuck you."
Yeah, the weird nerdy disciplinarian
Right.
one. Yeah. No, this guy was the coolest, Mr. Hobart. And he was Willy Wonka. And I remember like he would have these little like rehearsals with all the other people that had important roles, and they would have pizza and Pepsis and shit. And I was so jealous because Mr. Hobart was so cool, and I was like, man, I want to hang. But it was like a little private club over there, so we just had our little Oompa Loompa hangs where we don't practice any lines because we don't have any, except the
But
song.
you had to do
Yeah, but that was easy. It was just like just sing it together. All
But
right.
You just screwed
And you
it
had to
up.
get an orange face, you
Yeah.
racist.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that racist against Trump?
yeah.
I hope that doesn't pop up on Twitter.
Orange face.
Those old pictures. So, and yeah, I thought he was the coolest guy. And then the play happens, and then I hear about not too long after that Mr. Hobart is organizing a field trip for anybody that was in the play. So now it's not exclusive. It's gonna be this big field trip to out in Palm Springs. You know where, like in Pee Wee Herman, where all the dinosaurs, those weird dinosaurs.
Yes.
Yeah, it's gonna be a field trip out there. And I'm so excited. I'm like, Mom, come on. But we're poor. We can't afford the field trip. We don't go. I'm so bummed. It's like the funnest thing in my head.
Yeah, but your dad could forge
My dad,
$50,000 worth of Yamaha equipment.
I hadn't met him yet. He could have
You
really
hadn't
come
met
in
your
handy.
father yet?
At that point, no.
How old were you?
I was in third grade, so
About
8.
13.
Yeah, I was about 13 going on 25.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, when did you meet your dad?
When I was 11.
Is it because he was locked up?
Yeah, and then he just lived in a different state.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did your mom and dad get back together?
No. Oh, no.
Okay.
Oh, dear God, no.
So you hadn't met your dad yet. You couldn't afford. Where was your mom working?
She was a nurse.
She was a nurse. Was
Mhm.
she a what is it, registered nurse or
Mhm.
just a nurse?
RN. Pediatrics. Took care of kids.
That's pretty good money though.
It was all right. Yeah.
That's pretty good money.
Yeah, she worked. She had at that point she
I mean,
had
that's field trip to the dinosaurs money.
yeah, but she was single mom, had just met a new guy, so I had a new stepdad, and he was a piece of shit, and he would spend her money. Like we were broke for different reasons. They were always on doing drugs, and he wasn't working, and she was supporting us. You know, 2 kids like, and
Right.
then there was a new kid on the way. It was hectic. We were
Okay.
yeah.
So you didn't get to go.
Didn't get to go. 2 weeks, maybe a month later, I hear word that something happened on the field trip, and and then I didn't even find out for a while because my mom didn't want to tell me. But Mr. Hobart took those kids. I don't know why I'm laughing. This is terrible. He took those kids out to the desert and molested a good chunk of them.
No way.
A good chunk of those kids got touched by
Where?
old
Inside
Mr.
the
Hobart.
dinosaurs?
No, in the
Hobart's
bus. That's
the
the sickest
best.
part.
How? Okay, wait a minute.
He took a bus out.
It's not that far to Palm. They didn't spend the night, did they?
Not that I know of.
And they came right back.
Yeah,
That's like a lot of work to go through a handful of kids on a
Yeah.
bus.
yeah. That was the whole trip. That's what it was for.
Was just him to touch all of
And
them.
he may have stayed out there. I don't like. I was like that part of the memory. I don't remember that well. But I know that he like a good chunk of those kids got touched on this bogus. And apparently, I don't even think they went to the dinosaurs. I think he just took them out in a weird spot in the desert in a bus and fucking touched them.
Salton Sea.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. So worked out. That was the second time I had evaded a pedophile. I had another one of those too. I was close call. White trash,
Well,
you get it.
lucky you.
Well, aren't you so cool?
Ken wants to know if you grew up in California or Washington.
Well, I lived in Wrightwood at the time, and then I grew up in Washington from 13 on. So up to 13, I was in Wrightwood, and then from actually the other story, the first year I was in Washington was that story. Yeah.
Well, that's why Ken's holding on to something in his back pocket. I
Yeah,
think.
Ken's from Washington, bitch. You about to go down.
Don't.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Lindsay said that she feels like that this one was dumb enough to be true, this story. Said it felt like it was all over the place, but that it felt somewhat true.
Right.
Yeah.
That's just a lot of molestation to do in one field trip.
Well, I don't know how.
It's not for Hobart.
I don't know how. Yeah.
Yeah, that's,
You don't know Hobart.
Wasn't nearly enough for old Hobe.
This guy could run through him.
Because
He was a real Cosby.
you,
know
I
what
mean, I guess having a play, that is really, he probably got to, what is it called when you warm him up?
Diddle him.
No.
Oh.
When you
Foreplay.
Foreplay,
No.
Fluff.
No, when you're playing him.
Masturbate.
Predatorizing.
Yeah, whatever. Like where you
Oh, you're
word-
grooming him.
grooming him. Yes,
Oh,
thank
oh.
you. Jesus.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I watch enough
Fluff.
Steve Wilkos. I should have known that.
Right.
We
Like
loved
that
him.
whole play was just a groom then.
Yeah.
So that
Fa-
that means
to
all
farm.
those pizza parties was grooming.
What's weird to
Right?
me, though, is I've never seen a school production where a teacher would play the title character, even if every kid was the same age.
No, that makes
Usually
complete sense to me. If
Me
they're in
too.
the third grade,
Yeah.
and Willy Wonka's gonna have the most lines.
You need
and
a
be
grown
the
Yeah,
man,
so
great-
you have
too.
the most popular third grader play him.
No.
Nah.
Oh
No.
yes, definitely,
No.
definitely.
This is a failed
No.
thespian. Come on.
Yeah, dude.
I don't know. I've
Taking the
never
crowd
been,
where'd
I've
you get
never seen a school production.
By the way,
ever.
you gotta separate the man from the art. He was a great actor.
I still love him.
Great teacher. Like you started off by
Unbelievable.
saying everybody loves.
I love
Mr.
this
Hobart.
guy. I still do. He never did anything to me.
That's true.
For all I know, it could be a lie.
well, and you get to know now that it wasn't that you weren't right for the role, Nolan, or that you didn't make the cut. It's that you just weren't that guy's type.
I wasn't hot.
Yeah, he didn't want you in that exclusive group.
no
Yeah.
poor
He's
kids
kinda-
allowed.
It was the
Mapping
first.
out.
Were there any other redheads in the play?
Probably. I wasn't keeping track back then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would assume so. Yeah, there was this little. What was this one kid's name? A real stinky kid. He was another. He was smelly, and he was an Oompa Loompa. So yeah, I can't remember his name. Like Cody or something like that. Something trashy.
Okay.
You know,
Hey,
Cody's
Pim.
out there. What up?
That's an interesting story. No, anybody have any chime in on that online and what they think?
Ken said he's way calmer now, but pay attention. He's not as nervous as he was in the first one, but the laugh about molestation kind of threw him off a little bit. That seemed like something maybe you wouldn't laugh at if a bunch of your classmates had
Or
been
added
molested
in.
by Willy Wonka.
Well, I'm a comic, so. Well,
yeah,
laugh.
yeah, and if you
Well,
don't laugh at the turn this story took, then you're just not a fan of misdirection. It's
Yeah,
just
dude. I mean, this is classic.
it's just a holy shit. Where did this go?
Yeah, this is a bit. I do this on stage.
I mean,
Also, people like to talk a lot about like, oh, he was more nervous during the first story, or he looks so much more cool and collected now. And I think that we don't attribute that enough to the fact that maybe people are just they just sat down, we
It's your
just started
first
the
story.
podcast.
It is
Yeah.
a little tough at first.
like
you
you
can't
might have
tell.
just loosened up by the second
100%.
story.
Yeah. I felt like I did a set, and then that was my second set, and I already, you know what I mean. I got those first set cobwebs out of the way.
well, I was gonna say
Because
about
very tense. It's very like focused. Tell your story. You know what I mean?
All right.
Everybody's just like
Taylor
this.
was his like lip was quivering in the first one so much that I was like, okay, this has got to be live. But then it did it again in the second one.
Yeah.
Like you were still nervous in both.
That's my look.
Yeah. So
That's my
I don't know what to believe when it comes to like nervousness and stuff anymore.
I know it's
'cause-
hard. This is a really hard tell.
Yeah.
Nolan thinks he's cool, so he always like this.
I don't do that. Is that impression?
California, Washington, white privilege.
Right? I was poor, trust me.
Like me more now.
So
I'm
I
more
don't know.
relatable.
And I could definitely see you with anxiety issues, because I do.
I presently see you with that.
Thanks, guys. That's
Lip
helping
quivering.
the anxiety.
It's the worst thing to say.
Jessica asks if I'm on drugs right now.
Yeah.
Fucker.
Jeez, Jess.
Yeah, earlier he
Make me
goes, I
more
don't.
paranoid?
He goes, I don't like stories. I'm a one-liner guy, and you're like, yeah, that's why you're doing so bad at the stories.
Yeah.
Like, I'm back here like, should I chime in and be supportive? Like, wow, you're doing a great job.
Is
you know?
this whole thing supposed to feel like an interrogation? Because it feels sweaty. You're like, you look
Yeah,
nervous, and the light's coming on. I'm sweating.
Right, I think that does add a nice touch to
It
it.
does. It feels very.
Host
Where were you?
Yeah.
That wasn't as good as I wanted it to be.
Hostedder
try it
agrees
again.
with me that the kid with the richest parents would always get the lead in the play, not the teacher.
That's true. Also, the smartest ones, though. Because I remember we only did a few plays, and I did a play in church. And the woman that taught the Sunday school and was the most involved because she just liked to be in stuff, and she wanted her kid to be the smartest, and she made her read all the time. Her kid got to do it because nobody else wanted to do that. Nobody else wanted to
Yeah.
teach the class.
But I mean, I don't know. Is every school the same? I mean, there's little things that are different. I mean, he was the lead. What are you gonna do? You
Yeah,
need
but,
an
I mean,
adult. The
I
whole
could-
movie's all
I
kids.
I could kind of see him doing that, especially with the Oompa Loompas. It would give a great visual.
Why would parents want to go and watch a grown ass man play Willy Wonka?
Because he's charming. He's Mr.
Child
Hobart.
molester, right.
Yes. He's one of the best.
Kenny L has specified on his bombshell report of investigating, if you will, but I'm going to hold it until we vote on Nolan's.
We all have to vote first. He's not going to give this information for us to use.
He's
to
giving it
vote?
to us. He's giving it to us, but I think we should, after we do the recap, we should vote, and I'll give you it right before we vote what he says,
Okay. Okay. All right.
so as to not skew your opinion too much.
We got this.
I
We
can't.
just had
This
a
better
knowing
be
look.
good.
There was a knowing look. That's all. You guys
This
missed a
better
very.
be good. That's
Well,
all I'm gonna say.
You know, Ken, it's either hit or miss. It's either really good or it doesn't help at all.
I like
And he actually says it might not help at all, but he does have some information. So
That's great.
All right. Well, okay. This
Bring
is
it
where
on, Ken.
Austin is going to recap each of your stories real quick for everybody. Then we're
Mhm.
going to vote.
we'll do one first, and then we'll vote, and then we'll do the other one, then we'll vote.
Yeah.
Cool.
So who you want to do first?
I guess we start with Taylor.
Okay. Story one, which he was very nervous about. He was
Thanks again, guys.
he was about 13 and chronically masturbated standing up to his brother's Jenny McCarthy poster while he was at baseball practice. But one time his mom walked in on him, so he escaped to the woods for a bit. When he returned home, he nonchalantly asked his dad about baseball, at which point his dad degraded him for exploring his sexuality. Sad story
It's a
ending
better
there,
story
kind
than
of.
mine.
I will say you
Yeah,
made
how
me
do you-
laugh so
we-
hard just then that I farted a little, and I was like,
Oh,
I hope they
please,
can't
no.
hear that.
I hope I
You
can
farted just
smell
now?
it.
Yeah, I did.
Wow.
Oh God, it's
Good
gonna
for
be
you.
a hot box in here.
No, it's not. I don't think it's a bad fart. It's just it was a surprise fart.
Those are always good. Those can't be bad. Love a surprise fart.
I don't get paid enough for this.
Sorry.
Story two, Taylor was in his mid-20s and was not great at sleeping or eating. He goes to a party where he freaks out on everyone due to an exhausted hallucination. His family takes him to the hospital. He jumps out of the car just as they arrive, goes in, bowling over Filipino nurses, telling them about he's doing a lot of drugs, or has done a lot of drugs, but he's not currently on them. And then tells a therapist that he's sometimes suicidal, so they take him to the loony bin in town, where he played Pictionary with Crazy Pete, but soon escapes with his butt hanging out of his little nightgown there. But unfortunately, they
Little
stuck him with some booty juice, and it kicked in,
That's
and he passed out, and they dragged him back in for another 2 weeks.
His little nightgown there. I like it.
Okay. Fuck.
Do I get to vote?
Yes, please. Do you have a vote now?
I can just jump in.
Do it.
I think the second one is true.
So you think the first one's a lie?
Uh-huh.
I think that the second one is a lie. I kind of agree with Ken that maybe that was his hallucination.
Yeah, but do you think Taylor's that clever?
I don't know. We just met. If it wasn't for his
We're
lip
just
quiver,
talking to him like
if
he's
it
not
wasn't
here.
for him being so nervous in both stories, like if one
Once again,
story
guys,
had been blah, blah, blah,
Thank
blah,
you. Thank you so much.
but he was just he
It's a
was
sincere
so
thank you.
incredibly
Thank you.
nervous and shaken in both stories that how
I think
can
he
you
is
tell?
clever.
Like, yeah,
I think he's a very smart guy.
I think it was all a part of the act.
Taylor, to me, you seem very confident and under control.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
New friends.
Also,
But see, that is an act, so that shows you what a great actor he is.
maybe, yeah, but also the whole him standing on the bed to jerk off with his shoes on is that's real. That's specific. Guys are very like every dude has a specific weird way they went about certain things growing up. And
We
that's
asked
such a,
about the shoes, though.
what's that?
I don't know if you remember that.
I've been here.
We,
what part?
I'm pretty sure the shoes came up because we kind of asked. So
If
we
it was
didn't.
real?
Yeah, you did. You said, "Do you keep your shoes on?" He was like, "Fuck yeah."
Yeah,
No,
dude."
that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that part
But
of
all
at
he had to
least-
do was say yes.
I'm saying at least that part of the story is real. So that's why I'm saying
Yeah.
that could be the real story.
Do you know what I mean, though? Like, we kind of introduced even the detail.
Right,
Oh,
well,
I see what you're saying. He
yeah.
wouldn't have said that, you mean?
He didn't.
Perhaps.
We said it, and then he was like, yeah, that. Or he answered it kind of like a leading.
Fuck,
Well,
Nolan, you're
let's-
right. That's a good point.
let's
But
also
my
say-
shoes were already on because I ran out the back door.
Yeah.
I remember that specifically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, let's say too that we know Taylor masturbates.
We do know that.
Yeah.
We can all agree.
Right. We can all agree that has happened, and that's probably the true part. Now, I think the part that might be the lie is: did he steal his brother's poster, and did he run out into the woods?
And did his
In
dad have
shame.
that funny line? Because if
And-
that's not the true story, then he wrote a very funny line for the story. It's like
For
he
the
wrote
dad.
a joke.
Very punchy.
Yeah.
Very,
Yeah.
very punchy.
Very
Oh, no,
one-liney.
I think I want to change my answer, but I'm going to stick with it.
I'm
don't
gonna
know.
say.
What was your vote, Mike?
I'm gonna go with the first story is. Fuck, that's what he wants me to think, though. I'm sure. I guess my vote is first one is true, second one is a lie,
Okay.
yeah,
or
I-
second one is inaccurate. Maybe not a fucking total lie.
Yeah, I think it's a
Right.
hallucination. I think that's what he thought happened, maybe, like Ken thought.
Or has that
That was a good
happened on
conspiracy.
a show, a TV show that just seemed like it was written in a script?
Right.
Hmm.
I'm starting to feel like the first one's true, but I have to stick to I don't want to switch in that's the worst. So
That is
I'm gonna
true.
stick with it.
I'm gonna say that the second one is a lie.
Yeah, everybody online says first story true, except for Hostetter, who says both of their second stories were lies. So
All right, I'm gonna change my mind. First story's a lie.
You going with
Yeah,
second
I'm
story
gonna go
true?
With you.
Nice.
I'm gonna go with you. First story's the lie.
Just
so you say second story's true.
Yeah, I changed my mind.
I want you to know I don't think that's a good decision.
I don't think it is either. First story lie. We got all the votes in.
I think so.
You ready?
Yeah.
Which one is it?
Second one's true.
Wow. God damn it.
I almost switched.
Eat it. Taylor's crazy. Taylor's
Yeah.
crazy.
And I had to cut a lot of shit out of that one too.
Oh man, it feels good. I almost switched.
But
But
that's
I
still
almost switched too to y'all's thing, and now I'm like pissed.
And that's why I was
Yeah.
so nervous. I mean, that was the second time in my life I've ever,
Ever told that story?
or maybe third time, yeah, third
Yeah.
time.
Oh, wow.
But so
that's
it's like,
a now
it's
let's
still
just
fresh, yeah,
and what a gnarly story.
It
That's
is.
awesome.
yeah.
Wait. Do you masturbate standing up on a bed with your shoes off?
Never,
God damn it. That's
No way.
killer work, man.
No
Never.
way.
Great job.
Never.
That's awesome.
You know where I came across the shoes thing is because I had to be able to get out that back door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just kept the shoes on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was already in the story before, but then you reaffirmed it.
Pretty
Wow.
dialed storytelling after all, huh?
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
That was
Pretty
damn good
goddamn
storytelling.
collected, if you ask
Love
me.
it.
And you really kept it together.
Yeah.
Now I'm good.
That was great. Wow.
That's
Okay.
awesome.
I'm glad me and Nolan got it right.
What a tale.
Okay, you want to recap? Nolan?
Yes, Nolan's first story. His dad is a manic depressive con man, and he had some loser friends, and they were all going to go to some Moses Lake rage party with some dunes and four-wheelers and boots and helmets.
Boots.
Because his hum daddy conned somebody out of all this stuff.
Your hum daddy.
They roll into the pit in his hum daddy's Hummer and have a grand old time, but they got so crazy that the state ends up shutting down the dunes. We'll get to Ken's thing in just a second. Story 2, he was a shitty Oompa Loompa in a school production of Willy Wonka. And cool-ass Mr. Hobart was the title character for some odd reason. And shortly after, the class goes on a big Palm Springs field trip, but because his mom's boyfriend was poor, he couldn't go. So weeks later, he hears that old Uncle Hobart touched a chunk of the kids inappropriately.
Yep.
And that's his story. He's sticking to it.
Yep.
So before we move any further, Ken Lofgren says that those dunes that he didn't know the name of are famously called the potholes, that everybody knows as potholes. When you roll up to it, there's a big sign that says the potholes, and that if he was 13 and going to the dunes, that matches up to the time frame that it would have been called the potholes, that he might not remember because he was a kid, Ken said, so maybe that's the case, but he doesn't think that he would not remember the name.
How long did you live up there?
I moved up when I was 13. I didn't live near the dunes. We lived near, but not super close. I lived 3 hours away. But I moved up there when I was 13, and then I went to college. Even worse, to his point, I went to college an hour away from the dunes.
Did you ever go back to the dunes for any other activities?
That's a good question. Yeah, one other time.
One other time.
Mm-hmm.
And you didn't know they were called the potholes.
Correct. Still don't.
Michael, as a Washingtonian, can you offer any?
Yeah, well, wait, an hour away from Moses Lake is so isolated. Where did you go to fucking?
Ellensburg.
Oh, in Ellensburg, okay. Because I was Spokane. I went to college in Spokane, but
Yeah,
it's an
that's
hour
way
and a half,
further,
2
yeah.
hours, yeah. And Ellensburg. Oh, you went to Central.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I don't really know if I think that the same. I don't know if I feel the same as Kenny as
You're
to
not
why.
helping us at all here. Would you give us?
I'm getting to it. I'm long-winded, and I'm late a lot. So this is just give it some time. No, I don't know. I guess my I'll just vote. Okay, I think the second story is true. I think the first story.
So, as a Washington person, you can give us no insight into this except for naming colleges.
About the potholes
Do
debate.
you know them as being called the potholes?
Honestly, no, I do not. I know something. Remember when I said Lacamas Lake earlier? Incidentally, I know a place near Lacamas Lake called the Potholes.
Oh, maybe Ken's wrong.
Turns out I guess I did have some insight.
Ken just said he
Your
was a
throwaway at the end turned out to be a fucking gem.
No, we had to pry that out of you.
See, guys, I'm here now. I made it.
Okay, that's some good information to know. So either we know his dad went to jail, so his dad was that was his personality as far as doing that kind of stuff. But the second one, Mr. Hobart, out of the blue, molested a bunch of kids. I'm really burpy.
And farty.
Yeah, sorry. It was once. It squeezed out.
You got to
made me
get
laugh
that gas.
Really hard.
That's great.
So that that
It's
was
your podcast.
That was a compliment.
You're welcome, dude.
Thank you.
When you fart, you're welcome. You're welcome.
What do you think?
They
I
got homework.
think I know which one.
You do? What do you think?
I think the first one is false.
You think the first one's a lie?
Yeah.
About his dad?
Yeah.
And
Same.
what was his hum daddy?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a lie too, because didn't he just say something about not being close with his dad, not meeting him till that point?
Not until after.
Because I think
that
you
was-
did the same thing that I just did, as far as just get your most outlandish and have it as your truth, and it's your second one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, you think that because you decided to go with your truth as the second one, that's why you think he did the same thing?
Yeah, I think you did the same thing.
Dude, the reason this is hard is because as somebody that knows Nolan a little bit, it's if he were to be not on a podcast chatting with you about stories about his life where they might not be where they're not going to be lies, you won't believe most of them anyway. They're
Right.
fucking
Yeah.
crazy. Everything about his upbringing is absolutely the most bizarre story.
I have a bad feeling that because we talked a lot on our trip to Sacramento,
Mm-hmm.
and we really
Vegas.
bonded, right? And I have a feeling that maybe
Memorable
We
times.
really bonded.
Precious memories.
and I have a feeling that maybe you told me some of these stories and I don't remember, and you're gonna really throw it in my face.
I'm not that kind of guy.
Promo Motion says that he believes Nolan could definitely be a camping molestation bullet dodger.
Yeah, I think without a doubt, if he wasn't molested, he definitely came close.
Yeah.
In his life, at some point, he's adorable. I mean,
Right.
Yeah,
He is
what
adorable.
What if he ends
Thank you,
up
man.
saying?
Thank you.
What if he ends up saying the first story's true, second one's a lie, and I did go and get molested?
And actually,
And I'm a
Mr.
comic
Hobart.
now.
Oh, dude. It's time to get out there.
So what was your vote?
I didn't vote.
Ah.
It's a tough one, and I'd like to say, Nolan, I hate you.
Love you, Jess.
I'm gonna say the second one is a lie. Second one is a lie. Second one is a lie.
Got it.
I think it's quiet because nobody else is voting that way. Because I'm like, just be careful with that.
Well, the thing that gets me is the multiple molestations on one day in a bus.
Yeah. Yeah. How many kids were on the bus?
A lot.
You
I don't
could
know.
stop a guy, huh?
A good
Right.
heap of kids.
Oh
Yeah.
man! Now
See,
I'm
now
switching
imagine-
over.
If a few of those kids would have just had guns, imagine how much better that would have gone.
Yep.
Okay?
Right.
Good
well,
kid
you-
with a gun stops a bad guy with a molesting.
And I'm
finger.
sure he did groom them, but there's got to be one loudmouth on the bus, like myself or something, that would have been like, "Hey, what are you doing?" You know, and then
Right.
it would have been busted.
Well, and to
Yeah.
be clear, he may have
So did you say what happened to the teacher after?
he didn't.
it didn't go well,
Mm.
as far as I know.
Oh,
It
it didn't go well.
Yeah.
No shit.
Yeah.
Well, I just switched my answer.
No, I mean, I don't know. I actually don't know a lot of the details of what happened after.
Okay.
So you
Like
now
with-
think first story's true, Taylor?
And in terms of the
Not
kids,
at first,
he could have.
But now I'm kind of.
To be clear, he could have taken the kids off and maybe took them into a spot. I just like how I pictured in my head from hearing it. It's like he touched the kids on the bus, but
Right.
I don't know.
And do
That
you
part of
guys-
the detail could be like a bad
They
kid
might have been
hearing.
in a hotel.
You guys
he might have tucked
remember-
them in for
It was definitely a
bed.
bus, as far as I know. Like they went out to the desert and then he just fucked with them.
This is also something that's going to support my answer, because remember how I said we can't wear white because of you.
Mm-hmm.
I went to do his podcast and he was in all white, had this white like sweater.
It was a really
on,
cool sweatshirt.
and this
Let's
white
just say it.
white watch. Right, he looked like
I didn't wear a white watch. That's not
White
true.
watch.
That's now
he
this is
looked
a
like
lie.
a real.
This is a lie.
He looked like a real hum daddy.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
dude. Yeah.
That's the name of this
Talking about
episode,
home
by the way.
Sorry, I almost stepped on your punchline. Yeah, with the watch detail. I see what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's also supports why I think his dad would be that way,
Yeah. Okay.
because he came from that.
Hum Daddy's daddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Daddy, baby,
Yeah.
baby, daddy.
No, I'm gonna stick with that. I think the first one is false.
Okay.
You think it's true?
Yeah.
I guess
Second one's a lie.
I guess I'm gonna stick with mine too.
What?
What was yours?
What was mine? That the first is a lie.
And what did Michael say?
I think that the first one's a lie.
Okay. What do people online say?
I think everybody except again for host thought the first one is a lie.
Okay.
Wait, is Kenny in on? Is Kenny voting first one lie? Because he's kind of beside himself here for a minute in the comments.
Yeah, first lie, second true. I think.
All right. Well, I'm with you, Kenny, and that doesn't always work out. but we're gonna
Hostetter
do
has
it.
some interesting comments. He says Hobart had a killer roofie connection, so this could be true. I think that's probably talking out of his ass. I don't think he really knows Hobart. But
He knows Hobart.
Okay. What is it?
First story is true.
Damn.
Wow. Wow.
Oh,
I'm
and
good.
okay,
What
this
is
is what I didn't know if you were. That was great too, because you were just like, yeah, use it in my act, but you said it like casually under your breath.
Yeah.
Like you didn't maybe.
But we've
mean
had
to
people.
say it.
We've had people in here that.
No,
they'll
I
say,
know,
yes,
I know,
it's in
but I
our-
just met him. I don't. But man, that was good.
Yeah.
I was just like,
God
like no
damn.
way.
Wow.
Right.
So really, you guys, your
All
dad
that
had a
happened.
Hummer that
Yeah.
said "Hum Daddy" all over it.
Oh yeah.
That is wild.
I'm trying to really. There's not even a single part of that story that's remotely untrue.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Told
Except for
you.
the amount of time he shut down Moses Lake. I can't remember the amount of time.
Were you ever in a
Okay.
play?
Oh yeah.
was
So I
Hobart
was in a
the
play.
Willy Wonka?
Okay, did that happen to somebody else?
Yeah.
It's like, totally.
A bunch
Okay,
of
good work.
a teacher from our elementary did
Oh,
that was-
take.
That was good stuff.
It's
I'm saying
funny.
Good work on your part, not Hobart. Come on.
Was he or was
Oh,
he
thank
not
God.
Willy Wonka? Is all I need. To know.
Not Hobart. the guy that ended up molesting all the kids was a completely different dude.
Oh, so you
No,
just
Hobart's
threw-
a fucking road
You
right
just
down the
threw
road.
Hobart-
Why-
Hobart's a different guy.
Oh.
No, he doesn't even exist.
He's
but
a- that's a
No,
road
he
right
exists
nearby.
under the bus now.
No,
Jesus.
so Hobart is a name I made up for the guy that was the lead Willy Wonka in the play, which was a real guy.
That's
but,
awesome.
But thank you. But that guy didn't rape kids, and his name wasn't Hobart.
I take back the adorable comment. You just lost all your appeal.
Yeah. And it's funny, the details you guys are doubting, that, as far as I know, was the true part. Like about the kids and where they got raped in the bus and stuff.
yeah.
That was
Yeah,
a,
that just
that's
seemed
just
like
me
a lot of
reporting
kids.
Totally.
my
Yeah, that
memory.
was good.
Yeah.
But I bet he had him for more days than just one.
Oh, and that was a part I didn't want to say or not say because I can't remember if that
Yeah.
happened.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah.
But a whole heap of kids from my school got shoveled off to get raped.
Right.
Yeah.
And I bet it was during the whole play.
It was around, it was like within, I heard about it 2 or 3 years after the play.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
nailed it.
2 for 2. Nice.
Oh, damn.
Thank you guys. Great stories.
Nice
Thank you.
fun.
That was good
Thank you.
stuff.
Good shit,
Where
man.
can we
You too.
find you guys, or what do you have coming up?
Well,
Taylor's like,
Catch him at the potholes with Hum Daddy.
with my dad. I'm at the Improv every week. Just come through there, you'll see me.
Well,
I'm at a show next
probably
week
cut that part out.
in Culver City. Yeah, at the Comedy Store. Don't come to the Comedy Store. I'm at a show. I don't know. I got a bunch of shows. Just check my Instagram at Nolan Culver. Anything you want to find out, it'll be right there.
perfect.
At Nolan Culver.
Great. What about you, Taylor?
I have a set tonight upstairs.
You seem really nervous right now.
now. No, but if you do want to check out my art, it's at Taylor Boss, TaylorBos, Boss 1S.
Yeah, he does have amazing art.
Thanks.
I'm at the Austin Walker on everything. You can follow me on there. Follow our Twitter, Liars_Club, our Instagram, the Liars Club 1. We've got some belly room shows coming up, which the girls will be performing on. Michael will be there. We've got some pretty good comedians on it on September 25th and October 29th. Comedian's all right. The guy running the music is solid. I'm telling you. I mean, he is the reason
He's
to
all
go.
right.
He is why I would go.
Yeah, he's a real Mr. Hobart.
Yeah. So I would say come to those shows if you're in town. If you're not, get a plane ticket and come on down and go Gators. Beat Miami.
All right, thank you for that, Austin. Woo, Mike, what about you?
Yeah,
Made
catch me on the Liars Club live stuff. You know, like look out for Ice House dates for store dates here. I'll be at the Super Dank show at the Improv on the 29th of this month, and you can see me here every week. Except for this week, I haven't had a camera angle actually this whole time. I've just been a
You
voice.
haven't had a camera. Why didn't you say anything?
I put in
did
the
in the
comments. I
comments.
said, "Hey guys, I know my camera's not working." You know.
Well, this
No.
is probably going to be our highest rated episode then.
Ah!
Promo Motion said both these guys need to be on This Is Not Happening with These Stories.
Ooh.
So I put that out there.
Yeah, these are great stories.
Quite the endorsement too, because these people in the comments hear a fuckload of good stories.
Yes.
Yeah.
Agreed. And you guys, thank you. Take a quick second and then go off the Comedy Store page and subscribe to the Liars Club on YouTube. Pretty please.
Do it.
I really appreciate it. We do have a new animation coming out. I know we keep saying that, but it is. The guy was on vacation. It's coming.
It
with
looks so
Bert
good.
Kreischer. Yeah, and it's going to be
Oh, that's great.
so good.
Awesome.
Yeah, so watch out for that. Like you said, our shows, we have a show at the Ice House every second Friday of the month. Always look out for us there. Follow me at Jess Wellington 2 on everything. And you have been lied to.
Hum Daddy.
Thanks, guys.